Hello, friends. Hello, friends. A tradition unlike any other.
Oh, my goodness. In your life, have you seen anything like that?
There it is! Adam Scott, a life changer. Mashed potato!
Here it comes.
This is the 19th Tee podcast. Kieran Marsh, Nathan Drudy back with you for another week. Trudestar, this is not an accident. I've got the Augusta green on tonight into the yellow. I'm excited. We are counting down. We have one more weekend before we hit the grand final of golf at Augusta National, the Masters. A little bit on that in a moment. We had a break. We're in the mid-season break of the domestic tour. So David Micheluzzi, who has really been at the pointy end of a number of leaderboards across the summer, will join us. He's our guest this week in just a few moments. But we rip around some results for the weekend because, Strudza, unbelievably, we have a new world number one, Scotty Sheffler.
Yes, quite phenomenal, really. I mean, what a rise to, or what an ascension, just so quick to get to world number one, given where he was, just to shoot a few short months ago. Quite phenomenal, to be honest, Marshy. 3 wins in a matter of, 6 weeks or something like that. It's actually phenomenal.
I think that one thing that really articulated this well for me, a tweet from Kyle Porter. He had a couple of good ones which I'm going to run through, but players with multiple majors to have never been number one in the world. Phil Mickelson, Colin Morikawa. Obviously, we give Colin a bit of grace because he's only at the start. Bubba Watson, Retief Goosen, Podrick Harrington, Payne Stewart. All with multiple majors never to have achieved what Scotty Sheffler has achieved as of this morning. And you look at what you said. He's won $6.2 million in the last 42 days. We said it at the time, I think, before Phoenix. Like, was this going to be a case of the floodgates opening? We anticipated more wins. I don't necessarily know that we anticipated a purple patch like this, and certainly not the ascension to the number one spot in the world. 6 weeks ago, 0 wins in 70 PGA Tour starts, $8.7 million in career earnings, 14th in the world. In the last 5 starts, 3 wins. He's jumped more than $6 and a bit million and 13 spots to number one. So, yeah, just incredible golf from Scotty Sheffler, the guy who last year was the 12th man picked on the Ryder Cup team.
Yeah,
now he's the best player in the world.
Yeah, it's as I say, it's absurd. It's phenomenal. You could use whatever adjective you want. I mean, it's looking at the OWGR points won for 2022. He leads, obviously, with 219.78. The next best is Cam Smith with 158.34. And then Victor Hovland, 127.97. After that, it's a pretty quick drop-off. Wacker Neiman's up in the 90s, but there's very, very few others that are in around the 70s and 80s. So, he's blown the field away, really, in 2022. And I mean, it's funny because we always get to the end of the PGA Tour season and we go, oh, well, who is the PGA Tour Player of the Year? If you're awarding it tomorrow, you could not give it to Scotty Sheffler. But in 6 months' time, when we get to the end of the season, and he may not have won again, we could be having a conversation about someone completely different. But yeah, he absolutely deserves it.
You'll remember last year, Cantlay won it essentially because he won 3 times.
Yeah. Yep.
Sheffler's done that in 6 weeks.
Yeah.
Just remarkable. Last stat to try and draw a line underneath the magnitude of this achievement from Sean Martin, who's senior writer for PGAtour.com. Fewest pro starts needed to reach number one in the world. Tiger Woods, 21. Jordan Spieth, 77. Scotty Sheffler, 92.
Yeah.
So, yeah, he is, I think, has a really sustainable golf game as well. And that's the scary thing for the next couple of years is, I said it back after he won Phoenix, the first, the breakthrough victory, that it seemed crazy to say that was his first win. And that we were sleeping on him in the context of guys like Morikawa or Hovland that we always speak about, right? he's arrived well and truly. So
Yep.
outstanding win for Scotty Sheffler. In terms of the Aussies who competed there, Druids, it certainly wasn't fantastic going. Minwoo, Scotty, Leash. Lucas Herbert was probably the best, to be fair. He had a couple of good wins. Beat Tony Finau. I'm looking through the results.
Xander.
Beat Xander Schauffele. And then, I don't know if you saw, but literally missed like a 3-footer to extend a game against Takumi Kanaya.
Yeah, it was rough.
The Japanese player. So, yeah, Lucas Herbert probably the best finishes, but certainly nothing to write home about for the Australians at the match play. In the alternate field event, the Corrales Punta Cana, one of your and my favourites events of the year, it was a T4 finish for Cameron Percy, the Aussie. So certainly better fortunes in the alternate field event, and great to see Cam Percy. I think the definition of journeyman, get back into contention. Now, he finished 2 shots back from the winner, Chad Ramey, and Cameron Percy takes home $166,500. Greg Chalmers finishing the tie for 28 that tournament. Aaron Budley and Brett Druitt missed the cut. On the DP World Tour, the Commercial Bank Qatar Masters, Wade Ormsby was the highest finishing Australian at T12. He was 4 shots off the winner, Ewan Ferguson. Jason Scrivener, a further 2 shots back from Ormsby in the tie for 27th. And then in the LPGA Tour, Ty Titakul was a winner at the Aviara Golf Club in Carlsbad, California at the JTBC Classic. She finished, Minjee Lee was the highest finishing Australian there, T23, and she was 9 shots behind the leader. Hannah Green, tie for 58th, Catherine Kirk in a tie for 68th, and Steph Kyriakou on the LPGA Tour in a tie for 72nd. And then Drew's, the 2 quick ones to round out. I want to make mention of Travis Smythe. I don't know if you saw this, was leading at one stage the event on the Asian Tour, the DGC Open at the Delhi Golf Club, and got Delhi belly.
As did Blake Collier.
Travis gets a chronic case of Delhi belly, gets himself back on the course. Saw a little video on his Instagram that he did from a tuk-tuk after the round. He's had a doctor follow him the entire 18 holes and shoots 4 under off the back of no sleep and complete dehydration and exhaustion. Incredible effort. He finished that tournament and tied for 10th, but geez, that may as well be a win, I would suggest, in his eyes. So that was tied for 10. Blake Collier finished in 66th spot in that tournament. And then the only other one I wanted to mention was Sarah Jane Smith. She finished in a tie for 2nd, 3 shots back of the winner, Linnea Strom, at the IOA Championship on the Epsom Tour. So a good weekend for Sarah Jane Smith. Drew, so briefly before we get to David Micheluzzi, the only other thing I wanted to mention, news over the weekend, not news, more vision, actually. Tiger Woods was spotted in some leaked videos playing and walking around at Medalist Golf Club in Florida. That would be significant in and of itself, because obviously we saw him at the father-son where he had the cart the whole way around. So he's walking, and Medalist, not the easiest or flattest of courses in Florida. What's more significant, Drewster, is Joe LaCava, his caddy, flew in for the round. Now, that doesn't happen unless there is an impending return. And what happens to be around the corner? None other than his favourite tournament. So what looked like the longest of long shots some weeks ago, really, when you think about it, probably shouldn't surprise us in the slightest that he is now an odds-on favourite to be playing in the Masters in 10 days' time. Yeah,
well, headshots on the Masters website, that in the field page of where there's the likes of, there's no Phil Mickelson. So it's not unsurprising at all. You know, he said himself, I think back when he first did a press conference around the Genesis, that he's a competitive person, and it was always inevitable. And yeah, what a great place to come back than Augusta National. So yeah, it's as we said many times, he owes the game nothing, and if he didn't come back from here, no one should say anything otherwise. So hopefully he is back, because I'd love to see it. But if he's, I'll believe it when he's on the first tee, KM.
Yeah, I believe Friday coming, but that's Friday United States time, is the withdrawal deadline. So I don't think say for injury, you can be in the field and withdraw following that. And obviously it wouldn't be a new injury. So you would think if he's going to withdraw, he will have to do it by this coming Friday.
Yeah.
Which should give us some surety going to the early parts of next week about what role he's going to play at Augusta. But yeah, certainly the signs. I mean, he didn't just walk medalist, but he flew his caddy in. So
yeah,
it's definitely pointing towards a return at Augusta National, which would be unreal to have him back. At the Masters, we will have a comprehensive Masters preview in Masters Week. We have one more tournament, the Valero Texas Open, which you'll recall 12 months earlier, Drew, to Jordan Spieth peaked a week early and won this tournament, much to my chagrin. And we'll see. I don't know if that'll happen based on the way he played at Austin over the weekend. But
no.
As I've said many times, couldn't give two shits. I just want him to play well at Augusta. So we will see. But yeah, comprehensive Masters preview coming next week. Now, Druids, we've flagged at the top a break in the domestic season off the back of the New South Wales Open before we head to the National. And there's only a handful of events left in terms of the order of merit as well. One name who I think, it's been really nice to see play well, given the struggles that he had having turned pro just before the COVID interruption. But also just seems like a widely respected and liked player on the tour, which, we've said that about a few of our guests, but certainly an incredibly popular and brings a great energy, I think, to the tour. And we've seen that a number of times across some of the. I speak, of course, of David Micheluzzi, Victorian local, came through the Victorian state system alongside Zach Murray, Ryan Ruffles, Blake Collier. So certainly had some pedigree and had one of the all-time great amateur seasons back in 2018, where he got as high as number 2 in the world in the amateur rankings, which we go into in great detail. So it's been a wonderful story, Druids. I know that it's one that we've been looking forward to for some time to get Dave on, and very fortunate that he's found a window for us in his couple of weeks off. So without any further ado, here's David Micheluzzi. Well, Druids, as we said at the top, very excited by our guest this week. He has certainly featured at the pointy end of a number of leaderboards across the Australian summer, been in some consistent ripping form. And certainly, I think, from at least a distance, seems to be one of the more well-respected and liked members of the tour altogether. I speak, of course, and I'm going to blame you, Drew, off the bat if I get this wrong, because I did consult you before we hit record. David Micheluzzi. David, welcome. How did I go?
That's very Italian, man.
Excellent. So Nathan is the Italian half of this podcast.
Very good.
And I consulted, because I didn't want to say Luzzi, or I thought there might be. It's almost like there's a T in there, Luzzi. Is that right?
Yeah, come on, yeah, Micheluzzi or something like that. Yeah. I say Micheluzzi or Micheluzzi, whatever comes off.
Brilliant. Well, at least Mika, that'll be happy.
Mika, that's it. That's why.
Mika, that's it. Yeah. Perfect. That's it. Exactly.
Well, at least Mum and Dad will be happy with this one. I know that listen to this podcast. David, welcome. It's been as I said, it's been a great summer for you. You probably take us back, I suppose, to the start with the PGA at Royal Queensland. It was a good start for yourself, and probably just how good it's been to be playing consistent golf week in, week out for a change.
Oh man, it's just been crazy. Obviously, I turned pro end of 19. I got to play a couple European Tour events. And quite a few Aussie Tour events, played Aussie Open and all that. And yeah, then COVID hit, and that just put a massive hold on everything. It just being in Australia was so shit. It was as simple as that. Like, just couldn't go anywhere. I had a category on, well, I've got a category on Challenge Tour because there hasn't been a Q School since 2019. Just couldn't get over. And then last year, we kind of got a few events throughout the summer, and then I went overseas for 4 months, and then coming up to this season, like it was a good season. Like, unfortunately with New Zealand Open and PGA like not going ahead, but still, I think we've belted out. I think there's going to be 14 events, like in the space of from December to the start of May, and like for me, that's the busiest I've been since I've turned pro. So it's actually been very nice, and it's great to be home as well. Like, I've had, I think, 4 events in Victoria so far, and got to stay at home for 3 of them, and just going to places that I've been before. So I think that's been quite comfortable as well. And yeah, as I said, like the PGA was nice to actually put my name up there again, because it's been a while.
Well, I think we definitely will unpack the dumpster fire that was COVID. not long after you turn professional, and timing's always great, isn't it? But
Yeah.
probably just to reiterate, I mean, you kind of outlined it beautifully there about your stunted start to your professional career. Did you surprise yourself, and have you surprised yourself across this summer with your results based on the fact that there wasn't a lot of golf coming into this summer, or are you about where you thought you would be given the opportunity to play regular golf again?
I think it was always trending. It was just a matter of when it was going to happen. So I went to America for, it was about 4 months I was away. And I struggled over there big time. I played a few events on Challenge Tour, and I went back to the States, did Q school, a couple of play events. I just struggled big time. Struggled with, I was swinging it great. I just couldn't score. And I got back, and I just had to really reflect on what is actually going on, because this just ain't me. Like what is actually happening here? And I forgot how to play the game of golf. It's just playing golf is so different than just hitting balls on the range. And that's what I did, to work on certain things in the swing. But for me, I've always been a player. I've always been on the course, trying to shoot the lowest score possible, obviously, doing stupid games on the course, trying to make up and down from 160 out from behind the trees, and just doing just stupid shit as kids do. And in the last, probably from I think November till now, there's barely been any work on the range, and it's just been pure playing. And I played okay the first couple of events, and then Aussie Pga, it surprised me, but it also didn't surprise me, because I was playing solid, but I didn't expect to be as high as I was in the leaderboard. That Saturday, I think I had 5 in a row, and I went from 6th or inside the top 10 to 2nd or 3rd or something like that. And I was like, oh my God, we were way behind Jet. But I was like, oh my God, I got that realization, holy shit, I'm actually up there in a decent event, as a pro. I'm I haven't been here before. And I played so well that front 9, and then the back 9, it was I hit it the exact same as the day before. I shot 5 under on the 4 or 5 under on the back 9 on Saturday, and then on Sunday, felt like nothing changed, and I shot 5 over. It was just no putts dropped. There was a few 3 putts in there, a few unlucky breaks, and I was I was so deflated after that. And then Queensland PGA rolled up, and I shot 4 under first day, putted unbelievably, and then we had just carnage weather the second day, and I just got around in square, and all of a sudden I was second again. I was I'm up here again. And then it's from there, the confidence just grew, and now it's playing with freedom. I think not obviously the rollover set, we get to keep our categories for the tour and all that, but knowing that I've had results in the last couple of months that I can roll off that, so say next week, if I shoot 3 over in the first round, in the back of my mind going, I've been playing very well this year. Just got to stay patient and do all the little things, and you never know, it could end up winning. But yeah, it's been great to actually just play events, actually traveling from week to week. The 6 week or the 7 week stretch where we had 6 events, it was just brilliant. Just going from week to week to week. That's what it should feel like.
The Aussie PGA, you obviously mentioned it. They're 3 really, really good rounds. Those first 3 days, outstanding, particularly 68, 69, particularly Saturday, 66 to throw your name in the ring. Obviously, you mentioned everyone was chasing Jed, who was just bloody miles out in front.
Yeah.
Do you walk away on Sunday deflated, I guess, with your Sunday back 9 performance, or do you walk away and go, shit, I'm only in my first, real handful, I guess, of professional starts, and I finished top 10 in one of our country's biggest events?
Yeah, that's exactly there was so many emotions coming off that 18th green, because I think it all hit me on that 18th green like what just happened. And yeah, because of like the rewards we get for the Order of Merit, like that was costly. Like from what I saw, like I felt like if I just shot even par, like it's top 3. But then at the same time, it's like that was my first top 10 since my second event as a pro, which was 2019. I don't know, top 10 in ages, like two and a half years. Like I've played quite a few events in that time, and yeah, it was good because I was just like, okay, like it was just one bad 9. Yeah, nerves did get there. Like I'm not gonna say they weren't there. It was there. Like I was nowhere near the lead, but there's so much more to play at stake, and that I don't think many people actually realize. And they're like, oh, like what was different? Like you weren't even near the lead. I'm like, well, yeah, but there's other things at stake. Like you don't necessarily think about it, but in the back of your mind, it's there, like just pinching at you, and it's a shit in the brain. It's a bit annoying at times.
You were talking about practice. In the words of Alan Iverson, you were talking about practice before, and we had Blake Collier on recently, and he mentioned that he's been doing a very similar thing, that he's just been playing holes and trying to score. Whereas we've had other players on who they know their swing speed, they know their launch angle. We had Cassie Porter on last week, who she couldn't even tell us her swing speed. Which camp do you fall into? Are you numbers data man, or are you just don't give a shit about it as long as the ball goes straight in the hole? That's all I care about. Pretty
much. Like there was a time where like myself and Blake were trying to get faster in the gym. Like myself and Blake were in the VIS together for since 2015. So we've known each other for a long time, and yeah, there was a period there where we were trying to get our club speeds up, and yeah, it was quite fun. But oh man, technology's great, don't get me wrong, but sometimes it can just ruin players, and I'm just not the technology type. Just get me out on the golf course, and yeah, and you learn from experience. Like you try it, if it works, it works. If it doesn't, just piss it off as fast as you can. No mucking around. Like, there's no point. And that's what, and it's taken me, since I turned pro, it's taken me 2.5 years to actually figure that out. Some players, it may take longer. I don't know. Some players it may take quicker. But yeah, I play a lot of golf. Like I play way more than I practice. Feels like the only practice I do is probably drills in my warm up to go actually out and play. Like even like play with a few mates this morning, and like I rocked up, got a coffee, had a couple of putts, and looked straight out there. Like and like that, and I've done that since the start of around about November time, December time, where I went out with no warm up. I did all the stretches, get the body moving, and all that, because that's important. But learning how to score when you don't have a feel, I think is like really important. I think just with like muscle memory and all that bullshit. But it channels in like targets, what shots you want to play, rather than you're working on your swing on the range. Well, it shouldn't be. It should be just a warm up. There's a couple of drills that you do at the start, but that warm up should be just literally. It feels like for me, it's just like 10 to 15 balls, and I'm done. Like, just get me out there, get me playing. So yeah, I've been doing that heaps, and like I've shot 2 11 unders last week, not even going to the range beforehand. Like it was just silly. Like, but like so, and also I think sometimes with either like if you're running late to tee times, like if there's bad traffic or something's going on, like you don't stress because you don't hit the 50 balls like before you tee off. Like I can literally have 2 swings and I'm ready to go. So it could help in certain areas, but that's just me. And it's going well, so I'm just going to keep on doing it.
I was going to say it must, in a funny way, feel a bit liberating, because it's probably easy to get to the range and hit maybe 10 or 15 balls and walk away, as opposed to you get to 20, you get to 30, maybe you start rethinking yourself, and you almost get in a situation where you hit too many balls on the range.
100%.
And then like your head noise walking up to the first tee box. It's funny as well. I read a quote recently. I think it was from Lee Trevino, and I'm paraphrasing, but he essentially said something like, "I already swing 70 or 80 times in a round. Why on earth would I waste my time with practice swings or going to the range?" And that was like, I'd never thought about it like that. And as soon as I read it, I was like, why have I never approached the game like this?
Yeah, it's incredible, isn't it? It's just a different way of looking at it. But then also, like, you have to do certain things in your off season. I'm like this year, like I've worked on stuff with my swing with my coach Marty, and trying to just like, I get into old patterns. I can still play with it, but just making sure that it doesn't go too far the wrong way. But there's a time and place for that, I think. And when you're practicing to score, that's where I think it's like it's important just to have no head noise, like what you said. Like for me, like the less is more, I think. Like just give me 2 balls, I'll figure a way out. And give me 50 balls and I'll be like, oh, should I grip the club like this, or should I have it more out here, or like should I have it more in here? Like it just it's too much for me.
This is probably gone off on a tangent I didn't expect, and we will get back to your story, Dave. But
that's all right.
Is it? I don't know. Is it almost? Is it difficult to let yourself be that free in the sense of your preparation? Because I imagine when you are coming up and you make a decision to turn pro, everything around you points towards the harder you work or the more you do leads to better golf. And I think, like, we've spoken to plenty of guys and girls on this podcast. I think of someone like Daniel Gale. Gale, he works his tail off, right? He always just seems to be hitting the ball.
Yeah.
And we say that it's inevitable that he will win at some stage this summer. It just has to happen by virtue of sheer work. So the flip side of that for you, there's probably a bit of a lead up to give yourself the freedom to know what's best for you and understand that despite all the things around me in terms of the people I play alongside, that doesn't work for me. Good for you, Gailey, and I'm proud of you and happy for you. But I know for Dave Micheluzzi, what I have to do to rock up and play good golf.
Exactly. You've now hit the nail on the head there. It's whatever. Like they say, like there's a certain amount of hours to be successful. I'm just I'm not all about that. I do the short game, do the whole putting stuff, but just the range is just there shouldn't be a range, I think.
It's a little boring.
It's not golf, man. It's just it is boring. Like you warm up and then you're just like, oh, I'll hit a hook around this sign or hit the car. That's also good practice too, because then you start visualizing shots and all that. But like you look at other sports, like you look at look at footy, you look at soccer, you look at basketball, all those, like they're actually playing the game. Like they're kicking into a goal that is the size of a goal. They're like AFL players, they're playing against other AFL players on an AFL field. We're not competing against each other on the range. Like it's just like, just a waste of land. I could have 3 other chipping greens on there. That would be sick. So that's my thought, but no.
Love it. Yeah. I love it. The one thing I will say is fast forward 10 or 15 years and believe me, by the time you have 2 or 3 kids, an hour at the range is like your sanctuary. So the range is not that overrated when you get to a point in your life, as what I imagine it probably is for you right now, because you'll beg for an hour at the range. The range is a wonderful place at a certain point of your life. Dave, let's go back to the beginning. So you mentioned the Victoria's home. You've had a chance to be back there a little bit. What's the genesis, the origins of your relationship with golf? How did it all start there in Victoria?
I started when I was pretty young. I was my nonna. She got me a plastic set of clubs when I was about 2 or 3. Just loved hitting the golf ball in the house, and And yeah, Dad got these clubs, cut them down, and we went to the range, and I was just hooked. And then did that for a couple of years, and I just loved it. And then we went to Cranburn Golf Club, where they're actually hosting the Aussie Amateur this week. Starts tomorrow. So yeah, I've played. I'm still there. It's been my home. Well, been my second home for 20 years. Just it's like that's where I started. That's my home. Like, I've learned so much at that place, and I don't know if you guys have heard the news that it's actually going to be no longer Cranburn Golf Club, shutting in like 2025. So it's going to be a few tears coming out of my eyes when that goes. But yeah, so yeah, I played a lot of junior golf till I was about 15. Like, never really thought about state teams and all that. And then got into the state teams for the last few years with Ryan Ruffles, Zach Murray, Blake Collier, Brody Cletter, and those boys. And yeah, then we built up into the senior state teams and all that. And then we started going internationally, playing all these international events. And most of those boys turned pro before I did. And yeah, it's been a journey.
Why is Cranburn going? And if you say housing estate, that'll fucking do me for golf.
Goodness.
Nah, it's I don't know the exact details, but it's something to do with the land tax, with housing development, and because they took one hole away, I think 4 years ago, and they built houses, and it somehow created some issue, and they owed a lot of tax which they didn't pay, and then the club just can't afford it, unfortunately. And it's sad to see, because it's just gonna be houses now. It's
not a uncommon issue, I think, with golf courses in this country. I played the Vines on Saturday, 2 days ago, and they're losing 9 holes out of their 36, which is, once hosted some of the great tournaments over here in WA. So very saddening. It is interesting, Dave, because it's not often that we talk to people of Italian heritage on this podcast. And Mush, you can just shut up and indulge us here for 5 minutes. So,
Nathan's going back to the.
That's exactly how my daughter says my name. But how was golf received in your house, mate? Did obviously Italian parents? Did mum and dad play? Did they know what golf was like? What was it? Because I'm sure Italian parents were probably pushing you towards football, being the round ball game. I'm sure. So how did golf end up? Obviously,
I started so young. I think Dad played a little bit, but not a whole lot. And Mum never played. Now we live in a golfing estate. Now they're both members at a golf club. It's just weird seeing them play and all that. Mum's like really getting into it. She's doing all the nine and wine shit and all that, getting pissed with her friends on Sunday. She's loving it. I don't know if she's loving the golf or the wine. It's more, but no one played in my family. It was kind of weird. And now all my cousins play, and we went to the driving range the other night, and absolute pisser. They played football, cricket, and all that. So they're pretty athletic, and they can bomb it, but fuck, they hit it sideways, eh?
Because it's just fascinating. I think about Italian families growing up, and I was very much into AFL and football and stuff growing up, and even now going back to golf clubs, you very rarely see Italian mums and dads out on the golf course. It's certainly
very true.
It's certainly true. Australian, well, very much Australian and British, I guess. But no, that's very interesting. That's how it all came about. Marshy.
Yeah.
I just wanted a question along those lines, that we talked to a lot of people who generally had posters of Tiger up on the bedroom wall. Were you more of a Matteo Manacero man, Eduardo Molinari? Who was the golfing idol coming up in the proud Italian household?
I think growing, like, when I really, really like got serious about golf was when Rory started winning those majors. So it was about when I was about 15. So he's been a pretty big influence in how I play the game as well. Like I don't hit it as good as he does, but I try to, like, even like what he does. And he was pretty, obviously Tiger, like you're pretty dumb to say that you don't like, Tiger's an idol. Like what he's done in the game, what he did after all that shit after 2009, and then with the back surgery and all that, it's just like, how can you not like the guy? Like he's the GOAT. Like he's so good. And but Rory was my idol, just because Tiger wasn't really playing. I think he may have been in and out, might have been a bit in. So like I watched a little bit of his like 2000 era, but I was kind of in between sports. I played a bit of basketball, I did gymnastics, and so I didn't really follow it that much, but I always played it. I always thought it was fun. But yeah, and then once I started getting serious about it, that's when Rory was taken off. And yeah, like, look what he's done now. It's 4 majors, won 20 something times on the PGA Tours. Made a pretty good career out of himself, eh?
And most importantly, he's on the right side of the Ryder Cup ledger for the family,
Correct.
Team Europe. So that's
Correct.
good. That's
exactly.
good. That's what we like to see.
The Ryder Cup killed me this year, or last year.
You just mentioned, and again, I referenced probably a number of people we've spoken to, and being a 2-sport athlete is not uncommon for kids, particularly golfers, whether it was cricket or footy. Talk to me about the crossover between gymnastics and golf. I imagine the nimble nature of the gymnast body does, in many aspects, actually quite help in terms of your flexibility and your range of motion.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, very strong, very quickly. So I only did it for about 2 to 3 years. I was pretty young. I can still do a lot of like the flips and stuff, no back flips, but I can still do quite a bit of stuff. I've got heaps of range of motion. I've like that's stayed with me since then, and yeah, I just did it just for fun, and then it kind of stopped because I think I don't know, we just couldn't get there on that certain day, and same with basketball. We just couldn't get there on that certain day at that certain time, so I just stopped playing those sports, and then golf was the only one left. So I'm like, whatever. I was probably better at golf than all the other sports anyway. So yeah, but then, gymnastics is. I think it's brilliant. Like my body moves weirdly. Like I have a quite pretty unique swing with like how extended I get through the rib cage. So I get very high and I get like quite long, and it's just I just got so much range of motion through like spine, thoracic, and all that that my body can handle it. But if say, then it can be anyone. If they try to do what I did, they'd probably almost break in half. It's just what I've been doing for the last 12 to 14 years of playing golf. I've always got extended and always try to hit big roping draws. So I try to hit it harder and harder and harder, and that probably made it go worse and worse, trying to belt the absolute shit out of it. But yeah, it's been quite handy having the flexibility on my side. And hopefully, like injury prevention and all that, it helps in the future as well.
Tell us about those first few state teams. So you kind of you make it, I think you said 15, 16, you kind of first state team there in Victoria. And by the sounds of it, it didn't come unexpected, but it wasn't necessarily something you were aiming for. Then you get onto a team and you're playing with guys to say like Collier, Murray, Ruffles, all prodigious golf talents. More broadly, there would have been a heap of them across the Victorian system. So was it a bit of a light bulb moment for you to go, okay, this is cool, but if I actually want to do this long term, I'm acutely aware of the areas that I need to improve now that it's very apparent and in front of me in terms of the talent that's around me in my age group in Victoria?
100%. No, me and a few mates actually laugh about it, about the last interstate series. So I was a development player in 2012, I think it was. I was 15. Then I played the next year in Perth, and then the last year was in Victoria, which we absolutely dominated, by the way. Like, I had a very good year the year before in 2013, and yeah, was playing pretty solid golf, and then kind of went into a little slump, like didn't play as great. And then that interstate series rolled up, and the whole team was playing better than I was. And I was just like, and we'll absolutely dominate. Like I only played 3 matches because other guys played the better teams, and better teams, and I got dropped for the better teams, and I played the lower teams, and I played number 5, and like I won all those matches, like 5-4, 4-3, or like, and yeah, after that week it was just like, how good are these guys? Like, I feel like don't want to brag, but I felt like if I was on any other state team, I was playing 1 or 2, maybe 3, and like I was barely getting a game. I was just like, I literally got to lift my shit and actually do something. And yeah, I think from there it got so, like, I started working a lot harder, starting to focus on it a little bit more, and then started playing really, really well, and then through probably to 2017, 28, or end of 2017, I was kind of just plateauing a little bit. I was about top 100 in the world, maybe top 80 in the world, and then something clicked. I don't know what it was, but I just started winning everything. It was quite fun because I haven't won since 2018, and I kind of want to know what that feeling's like. But yeah, it's been a mad roller coaster ride, eh?
Well, take us through those wins. Obviously, I mean, probably more broadly, how do you sum up your amateur career? I mean, Master of the Amateurs win in January 2018 is something that clearly stands out. But how do you sum up your amateur career? Because there's been other people on this podcast who have mentioned your name, who have said that coming up against you in amateur events was something that they definitely didn't want to do. I'm reticent to name names, but it was like, fuck, like I've been drawn against Mika, and it's like, shit, like, it's going to be tough here today. So like, how do you sum up your obviously your amateur career, and particularly that Master of the Amateurs win in 2018?
Well, geez, like looking at probably where I was in mid 2017, early 2017, I would never have thought I would have got to number 2 in the world. Like, it was amazing golf. Obviously that stretch really helped because the rankings went from a year cycle to 2 years. So I got to keep the points from the Master Amateurs, the Aussie Am, and all that till I turned pro. So like, essentially stayed up in the top 5 for a year and stayed there. And like I won the Vic Am, won the Master Ams, came second at the Aussie Am. There's a couple of came like quarterfinalists in the British Am, and then that I came second at WA Open, 5th at Aussie Open as an Am, and it was. I never thought I would have done that. Like looking back on it, it was like, holy shit! Like, I actually really did something. Like, obviously there was guys like you got Victor Hovland, Colin Morikawa, Matt Wolf, Justin Sarver, Mim Wu as well. They were all above me around that early 2019 part. So I was probably about 5 or 6 at the time. But even just to be around that area of players, like look at what I think those 3 guys or 4 guys are doing, like Min's playing the Masters, same with Victor, same with Colin. I don't know if Matty's playing the Masters, but like I was like around them, and like to look back on it, it was pretty cool. And I'm like, if you told me when I was like 18 or 19 that you're going to do this, I would have been like, bullshit, mate. What are you talking about? But it was cool. It was a cool experience traveling, playing the best tournaments in the world. Played a couple US Hams, whole heap of British Ams, played a World Am, Aussie Open as an amateur, and then top 5. And yeah, there's been some cool memories that I can think back of and going, oh yeah, that was pretty sick. And a few of my mates look back and like, oh yeah, like he did this at Aussie Am, like won the stroke. Like we were talking about the stroke play, because the Aussie Am's gone stroke play now. What would have happened in 2019 when I was 7 shots in front after 2 days? Like what would have happened? Instead I get beaten by Crowe in the first round, who just won the New South Wales. Yeah, it's like I've just gone 8 under, and then I roll into Crowe, who shoots like 5 or 6 under in the first round, and I get beaten. I'm just like, oh, well, that was quick. best week of golf I've had, and I haven't even made it to the round of 32. But yeah, it's just cool looking back, cool just talking about it to people and all that, and hopefully I can do that with my professional career as well, and see what happens.
We always say there's so many paths to becoming a pro, whether you turn pro at the age of 17, like Akshay Bhatia, you go to college, you stay amateur for your entire career. You may not even turn professional, but I guess what was, your decision behind, I guess, staying amateur as long as you did after some incredible performances, as you said, you rattled them all off there. In 2018, I'm just looking back here, there's at least 6 or 7 top 10s in significant tournaments. So I guess why, not criticizing your decision, but why did you stay AM as long as you did? And, was college ever an option to go over to the States? Obviously, there's plenty of options in that path. Like, how did that all sort of pan out for you?
Well, the college part was never an option because I was shit at school. I absolutely hated it. So that was out. We had the VIS here as well, which was very handy. I literally went straight from high school into that. So that was very handy. Didn't have a year to myself. I just went straight from school straight into training. It was great. So what was the first part you asked? Oh, about why I didn't turn pro earlier. Was that it? Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like, what's 1 year gonna do in your whole life? I thought, if I'm that high in the world ranking, in the Aussie ranking, that I feel like I should get some starts in some professional events. Get to play with some pretty cool players in higher groups that's on TV and all that. And I just thought that 1 more year of just exposure to TV, to media, all that kind of stuff was pretty crucial. Some say I should have turned pro in 2018, like end of 2018. I don't look back and go, oh, I should have turned pro then. When I turned pro was the right time. I got to do what I wanted to do. I played a USAM. I qualified for a USAM, being top 50. I played Asian Am. I was one of the top ranked amateurs there. Playing with cameras and all that, that's just something that you don't learn unless you're in that situation. And hopefully in my career, I get to do that. I did it at Aussie Pga, but hopefully down the line, I get to do it more. It's something that you can't prepare for with not doing it. You have to live it, you have to breathe it to actually know what to do in those situations. And we, myself and one of my mates, we're talking about what can we do to actually work our way around the cameras. So, because I'm a very quick golfer, so once I'm hit the shot, I've already got the number in my head. I cannot stand slow play. It annoys the shit out of me. Anyway, I'm ready to go. And then you got these 3 guys with the camera, with the mic, and holding the bloody extension cord, running, sprinting from one side of the fairway to the other. And then you get distracted, and then you got no idea what's going on. So not doing the yardage, doing the yardages when they get there. You get, I think it's 40 seconds now, the so-called rule that is not really implemented anyway. But yeah. So what can you do to make you feel to make you as focused as you can hitting that shot into the green or around the greens and all that? Yeah, I think that's quite important. And yeah, you can't learn that shit by not doing it. So that's one of the reasons why I stayed amateur. And yeah, like I turned down like a lot of great deals turning pro when like, yeah, I just thought one more year it won't change my life unless I win an Asian amateur or something like that, or a US amateur. Like that would help my career. Probably wouldn't change my life, but yeah. So yeah, why not?
So I hear all that, and that makes complete sense. Can you take us into a situation? Because I've always been curious. We've seen a couple of examples of this. Steph Kriyaku did it a couple of years ago with the Ladies European Tour event at Bonneville. You know, you mentioned the New South Wales Open with Crowe most recently. Does it even factor into your head of what you're sacrificing by remaining in amateur? Because I imagine someone like yourself, a fifth place finish in an Aussie Open, that would have been a handy purse to take home even at fifth place as a young man. So is that even in the back of your mind, or do you not let it enter the equation, given like I've come as an amateur, I have a plan, I'm committed to it, and that windfall will come at the time that I make the decision to
yeah, I think a win's different. So, for example, looking back at WA Open when Zach won it over myself, like he turned pro, I think 2 weeks after. So I would have stayed. I don't know how long I would have stayed for, but I would have stayed amateur for the rest of the year. With the money side of like, oh shit, that would have been a nice paycheck. If you're doing that kind of stuff in tournaments as an amateur, I'm sure you're going to do it as a pro. So what's 45 or what's 20 to 45 grand, or if not more, like it's like if you're good enough, you're going to make 100 times more than that. So it shouldn't really matter. I never thought of it. Mum always says like, oh, like imagine if you did that, like you would want a bit of money. It's just like, yeah, Mum, but it's not about now.
That's the Italian, mate. That's
what can you do? Yeah, legit. Save your money.
Yeah.
My nonna always tells me every time the Australian Open comes around, at tennis, she goes, "Jeez, you should have played tennis. Jeez, you should have played tennis. You would have been good at tennis." I was like, do you know how fucking good these guys are that like come out here and like Roger Federer is like that much of a percent of every tennis player? But there you go, the Italian.
That's it.
Take us, Dave. Take us into 2020, because I mean we kind of spoke about it briefly at the very beginning, and you've made the decision to turn pro. You've got some standing momentum off the back of that amateur period that you flagged. And I imagine you're bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, like pro golf. Yeah, it's going to have its challenges, but geez, I've come off the back of some pretty hot form and I'm ready.
Yeah.
And then you get absolutely kicked in the sack, as with most people, you know, golf or otherwise around the world. So walk us through maybe how you dealt with it initially, but then how you continue to adapt and just keep yourself in a good headspace as it dragged on and on and on.
Yeah, so like 2019, 2020 was weird because it kind of like I could feel something like going like downhill. I just didn't know when it was going to be. And like I played solid when I just turned pro. I went to Q School, I played really well the weekend to make it to final stage, and played all right for 3 rounds. I had a pretty good third round and had my chance to make the cut and get full challenge tour card and potentially get a European tour card. And I had probably one of the worst back nines you've ever seen, like 3 times worse than what the Aussie Pga was like. And that was my first ever defeat as a pro, where I was just like, I've just lost a lot of things here just from 9 holes of golf. that kind of ate me a little bit. I played Aussie, came back, played Aussie Open and all that. I did all right, and then coming into the start of the year, I traveled. I actually did a lot of traveling. I went to Europe for Q school, came back, played a few events here, went to South Africa, played South African Open, went to Singapore Open, came home for 4 days, went to Saudi for the Saudi International, came back for Vic Open. And with the shit that happened at Q school, then going into those events, there was a massive snowball effect on, I played pretty average. I missed a couple cuts. And then COVID kicked in, and I kind of got my game back just before COVID hit. So I was going to play, I think I was going to go over to Europe in April or May, sometime, like hopefully get some starts in Challenge Tour and all that. And yeah, then all that kicked in, and Victoria just got absolutely hammered with the lockdowns. And yeah, it was just like park it up for however long, and you got a lot of time to think about shit, when you're just sitting there doing nothing, and some weird shit comes into your head. You go, no, like because it was weird because like I didn't play good at all leading into COVID, so all I remember was just shit play, and through that COVID time, it was fucking brutal. Just really with everything, like not in, like we can only go outside for an hour a day, like what the fuck, man? Like I'm all like, yeah, I don't want to get into that bullshit, but it just everything just compacted into something that wasn't that big at the start with like my golf and all that, and then yeah, just like by the end of the lockdowns, it's just like my brain's fucked. Like I can't think straight anymore. And then we got to play some events late 2020, early 2021. And I played all right, and then because it was an extended season, the events I played in were just the small ones. I made 6 or 7 cuts, but I had to go back to Q school, and I'm like, fuck, like, oh my god, I got to try and get my card here. And then I played so well, super patient. It was probably one of my best weeks on a golf course at Q school. Came second, got my card, and then I'm like, okay, like we're building on some momentum here. And then, like what I said, like going overseas and for 4 months and just playing utter dog shit, I just really had to like reevaluate everything. So like that whole like 2.5 years was fucking horrible. I mean, it was shit. It was absolute shit. But at the same time, it was a good learning experience. Like it may have affected my mental health. I probably don't know how much it did, but yeah, there was times like, fuck, am I doing the right profession here? Like, fuck, like I haven't played well in 2 years. Like, is this ever going to come back? And then like getting some events back and like having a schedule, and I feel like doing the right things, that now I feel like I'm back in the right headspace and the right practice headspace and all that. So yeah, it was a brutal time. It was a brutal time for everyone. Like people losing houses and shit like that. It's just like losing their lives and all that. It's just horrible. Like mine is just minimal to what other people face. So you also got to put that into perspective as well. Like very fortunate that I still live at home with my parents. Like I didn't have to pay for anything in that time, and yeah, just thankful that I was in a situation where I didn't struggle that bad. But with my profession, it took a toll.
I bet, yeah, and you're certainly not alone in all those feelings that you've just conveyed there. We've spoken to plenty of people in the past 6-7 months who have said exactly the same things, but you have come back, as we mentioned, and doing full circle back to the top of the show. We said, how well you've played this year. You're currently 14th on the order of merit. I mean, how do you assess your chances of getting a card on the DP World Tour for 2022? Is it still? I think it's mathematically possible. I was trying to work it out before. I think you'd maybe have to win every event from here on out. But I think you.
Well, I feel like I'm due for a win.
Yes,
It's been a while. It's been 4 years.
Well, you're
So
coming
why
over
not
here
have-
to WA
why not
soon,
have
so
more?
you might crack it
Yeah.
here. I don't know. You've been good over
Maybe.
here previously.
Yeah. I've played all right in WA, and WA Open, obviously good memories, and WA PGA was my first pro event as well. So yeah. It's never over till it's over. Like, it's a old fashioned saying, but I just got to do what I got to do. Be patient. Do all the little annoying shit that gets it in the way. Like it's funny. I was speaking to my coach the other day about my putting, because the New South Wales Open, I hit 31 or 36 greens, and I shot 2 under. I'd only had 4 birdies and made 2 soft bogeys. It's just like, I'm over this patient shit. Like fuck this. I just want to fucking do it, man. Like,
Yeah.
And but at the same time, you have to rein yourself in. You got to be a bit patient, and yeah, to be honest, I like my chances. I like my chances for at least to win. I feel like if I don't win one of these last 4, I'll be pretty disappointed. I don't know if that's cocky or not, but that's just how I'm feeling at the moment. My golf's in a great spot at the moment. Got a good team around me. Everything feels comfortable. Just ready to go.
Well, if you look at form lines, it's bound to happen, right? Surely it's going to happen. But I was in doing a bit of research that's not Instagram, which is very rare for this podcast. I found a great article that talked about you speaking with Shane Lowry, and I wanted to.
Yes.
I had to do a real double
That's
take
a big dig.
on this because the photo that it accompanies the article could not look further like anyone else than you do right now. So I'm confident that I've done all my research correctly. But can you take us through talking to Shane, because he is and has been since the start of this podcast. I don't know what the idol, Marsh. What do you call him? He's the cover photo on our. Holding jug in a pub. So he's
So for Mika's benefit, obviously he's following us on all social platforms at the 19th podcast, but you probably have scrolled past the cover photo, and that's fine. It is it's Shane Lowry in the pub in Dublin after he won the Open Championship in 2018, and he drove back down from North Island down to his favourite pub in Dublin, and he's on the table singing Fields of Athenry with the claret jug and a drink. And we often say that Shane Lowry in that moment, not necessarily Shane Lowry on the golf course, but Shane Lowry in that moment is the spirit animal of this podcast.
Correct.
Brilliant.
So long story short, take us through Shane. Because we've never had anyone who's spoken on before, Marshy. I think this is a first.
No, this is the first time. How are you, David? How are you, David?
This was actually pretty cool. It was at Saudi. Myself and Mim were like, I think it was his second year. It might have been his second year out. I think he played the year before. So we're going onto this yacht. So we had all the invitees and the top 50 players in the world got to go on this yacht, meet the tournament host and all that, have a good time and all. So we were going onto this little boat that was going to take us onto the yacht. So we get there a little bit early. So we sit down and we're just sitting there like, oh, when are we going? The guy's just like, oh, we're just going to wait for like a few more people. Like max we can fit on here is 8. So like, six people. All right, cool, whatever. First time comes Poulter. I'm like, okay, all right, cool. that's pretty good. Anyway, and then DJ comes on. I'm like, no, is this even happening? I've never seen DJ like in real life. I'm just like, fuck, you're actually taller than I thought, eh? And then Shane comes on with his caddy. I think it was his caddy. I think Brooks came on, and it might have been someone. There was someone else. It might have been Abe Answer. We had. So I played with Abe Answer at Aussie Open. So it might have been him and his manager. So I might have added someone in there. Anyway, so we go into this yacht, and we're just sitting there and all that. And Shane knows quite a few of the amateurs that I played amateur golf with. I think he knows John Murphy, Connor Purcell, the guys I played Eisenhower with. And yeah, we just got to chatting, and yeah, he just gave me some amazing advice. So I think I said earlier, like, if you've played that good as an amateur, if you keep doing the right things, you will do it as a pro. And that's basically what he said. And that's just stuck in my mind the whole time. And I think Tony may have done that interview. And yeah, that's exactly. I'm pretty sure that's exactly what I said. And yeah, he was just awesome. Just treated me like I was another person. Like, he just won the Open. Like, he's there with a beer in his hand, just having a good old yarn. Like, it was cool. It was, yeah, very, very unexpected. And then got to speak to his caddy. He's been on his bag for a while, and
I was going to say, looks like his dad, but yeah. Just got some awesome advice off him, and just how he plays golf. I asked him a lot of questions on like playing and like what he does and all that. And he was so open, like so helpful, and apparently that's what a lot of the guys are like on tour. And it's just cool to see, because I don't think many people actually know that about most of the players that are on the tour. And it was a very cool moment. Has only elevated Shane, I think, in our thinking, that
Agreed.
story. If that was possible. Now, a couple of quick ones to finish. What do you do away from golf? What are your passions and loves away from the game of golf? If memory serves correct from some recent stories on the gram, big F1 guy?
Yeah. I stayed up and watched it last night. Absolutely knackered.
Jesus.
Today as well. I did nap for a little bit. Nap for like a few hours, and then I woke up when it started. F1. I don't really follow AFL. Just love the controversy in F1. It's just so much fun. The Lewis Max rivalry, it's brilliant. I'm a Max fan, just because it's just so ruthless. It's just brilliant. Okay. I don't know how people think about that, but I was very happy when he crossed over the line last year. I went ballistic. But I love cars. I've got a V8 myself.
We're getting there.
Yeah.
Don't raise ahead of yourself. Just on F1, pun intended. Just on F1. So, Max, are you a Max man or a Red Bull man? And if you're just a Max man, do you have a team? Who's your team in F1?
McLaren's my team.
There we go.
I've got a jumper to prove it. I bought a jumper. Okay. So I don't know if you buy something of a team, that's surely
obviously that's your team.
So I'm a McLaren fan. Obviously Danny Rick, Lando, like two of the funniest bastards on the F1 grid, and I love Red Bull. I love Max, just how he is aggressive. He's just an aggressive beast, but I just love he's just full attack mode, and I feel like I'm trying to take that into golf, where I'm not out here just to bunt around and try and shoot par. I want to try and shoot 60 every round. Just take on shots. If that gets me into trouble, I learn from it. And I don't know if he does the same, obviously, with going around corners at 170 mile an hour, but it's a bit different in the golf shot, and you go, oh shit, it's short-sighted, rather than being in a wall at 50 Gs. So it's a bit different. But just that mentality, I think it's brilliant. They're animals, all of them. Going that speed, I shoot myself when I do bloody 120 in my car.
Brilliant. Now let's get to the car. So there's a couple of things here. Nathan flagged Instagram as a primary source of research for this podcast. which I rate in terms of a source just one above Wikipedia. So I think we're well sourced here on the 19th tee.
Lovely.
A couple of things I did notice. First and foremost, you don't appear to have had an account till the middle of 2020, which is
I shut off my account into around about that time.
Okay.
I just feel like I needed to get out of there.
Okay.
Out of that, like, yeah, I just needed to get out. I just started fresh. I didn't like having a lot of followers is good, but geez, it's just social media, just in general, it's just shit. Just with negative people and just garbage. So it started as just a private account. I just wanted to follow the pages that I wanted to follow, and my manager said, "Oh, we got to get you on public, like kind of got to build a brand here." I'm like, okay, cool, whatever. I post a few things about golf, but I post other stuff as well. Like, don't really post rant around. Sometimes I do if I feel like it. Sometimes I don't. So, am I the perfect marketing guy or what?
This is the part I'm interested in, right? Particularly now you've given me the context of we need to build your brand, because it seems to be it's either golf or the silver SS Commodore. So yes. we've relaunched the account with a video of the exhaust of the SS Commodore, and then it features a variety of different times throughout the feed. Now, the last photo you posted of it says, "I miss her," and I'm wondering, was that just by virtue of distance? Has something happened to her? Just okay, good. I just want to make sure there's nothing's wrong.
I did it when I was away in America.
Okay.
Yeah, I got 2 subs in there. It's just a joy to be in. It's just fun.
Between yourself, Aaron Wilkin. He was a revhead as well, wasn't he? Lincoln
Felton,
Louis Dobler.
Yeah.
Maybe we need to maybe we can talk to the PGA around getting, an event scheduled around the time of Summer Nats, and you lot can fuck off up there and play golf and do some burnouts at the same time.
Oh, mate. Don't even need that event. No, it's cool. I bought it in lockdown. Had a bit of money there, and I was just like, it's there. And I bought it at a perfect time. It was just when Commodores just started going through the roof. Like some of the GDSRs that are selling cars for like $1 million. Like HSVs are amazing, but it's a fucking Holden, man. It's not a Ferrari, dude. Like there's not like obviously there's not many left, and obviously not building anymore. But yeah, it's cool to have. It's just a lot of fun getting in the car, driving places. It's just a joy. And yeah, put an exhaust on probably 2 or 3 months after I got it. Thinking about getting it cammed. I've got all these plans for it, but I just need money first,
I tell you what, I bet yourself and the remainder of the car appreciation chapter of the PGA Tour would have had a bunch of fun in that public car park next to Royal Queensland, because that looked the one that I parked in, which you guys wouldn't have seen it actually upon reflection, because you would have driven straight into the club. But the car park next door to the club, which was the general car park, was essentially what looked like 8 to 10 football fields worth of gravel, essentially. Yeah. And yeah. So you're telling me this now, and I'm thinking about all of the fun we could have had, beyond the 4 rounds of golf. Just finally, so we had Quayle on a couple of weeks ago, and one of the last questions we put to Quayle, it might have been the last actually, was if he had to make a call, who did he think had the better mustache or the best mustache on tour? Because I shouldn't limit it to the two of you, but really they are the most prominent. And there's a great irony here, because Quayle was talking to us from his probably palatial suite at the Coogee Bay Hotel. And he was sitting there in, albeit a long sleeve linen, but also a polo t-shirt. And now you've got the polo shirt on, and you're sitting here with the mustache. And so I have to pose the same question: who has the best mustache on the PGA Tour of Australia?
I don't know.
Just for context, he didn't hesitate this long. For context, he was pretty confident.
He's a sticker.
Yeah.
I reckon his is better. Probably because he's older. He's older. I don't know.
Okay.
But I can't grow facial hair. I can only grow a mo, and like it's actually quite thick. So it's up there. I'd say Quayle's got me at the moment. He can. He was at the stage where he can twirl it. I haven't been at that stage yet. It doesn't grow down the bloody bottom. It only grows at the top.
Well, for the record, that's now 2 votes for Quayle because he was pretty happy with his own.
Because he's pretty 100%. I always say he's most. Now you should see like there's so many players that are actually doing it. I think even Toddy Sinnott's got one now.
Yes.
I think he's got long hair as well. There's some sort of trend going on. I don't know if it was me. I don't know if it was anybody else, but
Morgan flirted with one there for a period of time. I think it was might have been down at Murray River or somewhere. Because I remember the photo that we posted of what was embarrassing for the leader of the Order of Merit, and I'm glad he came to his senses and got rid of that off the top lip. But yeah, it seems to be permeating. Certainly seems to be permeating across the two of them more broadly.
I think there's been a lot of people that said like, "Hey, if you're doing it, I'm going to do it too." I'm like, all right, whatever. I don't know if it was a competition or not, but everyone's growing out their hair. Everyone's doing mullets. Like I've shaved like kind of the sides of my hair. Jed actually shaved the sides of my hair in the States. It looked fucking horrible, but it was brilliant. Like it was with like an actual beard shaver. So it was literally down to the skin. Yeah, right. It looked hideous, but it was hilarious. It was good memories. So, but yeah, it's mullets and mows, man. Just following Cam Smith's.
Well, I was just about to say,
just need his golf game, man.
There is something truly poetic about the fact that our hallmark to the world from Australian golf perspective is thin, wavy mows and mullets. That's a beautiful, beautiful thing. And we do have the world number 5 to thank for that. Mika, because I think we can call you that now after an hour. I say grazie because it's been an absolute pleasure to have you on for the first of what we hope to be many chats, mate. Particularly when you start jagging those wins that we know are coming, we'll love to have you back on to celebrate that. But it's been wonderful to spend a bit of time with you, get to know you a little bit better, and we certainly look forward to keeping tabs on the progress into the future and having you back on for a chat as time progresses. Thanks again, mate, for your time.
Sounds good. Appreciate it, boys. Thanks for your time as well, and thanks for having me.